take a core out, it's very simple. If it starts dropping to bits, you know, the roots there is very weak. But if you look at the soil, if one or two of you want to drop the middle one.
Third man.
If you just want to look at that, you can pass it round, you'll see there's the roots are very weak really, and they didn't go down to 4 inches, which is 100 mil. So there again, we talk about when we let the spiker go out, the spiker goes out when you can get the spiker in, and I think that's common sense. For me, what I try and do here, I mean the square looks in good condition. I think you've got to look at it, it looks in good nick. All grounds are different. This ground is low, it's near the river, and I think that may be one of the causes of what's happening here. They get a lot of flood water. We don't really know what's actually under the area that they've had a new square, and I think that could be the problem here. And the roots on the core that we've taken out at the moment are very weak, so they'll need strengthening up by spiking, deep spiking, and then obviously seeding and loaming at the end of the season. The roots have got to go down, and to do that it may take 2 or 3 years.
I mean, I found without obviously the rain we've had, where you come out on a Monday and it's busting open, the water, you've got to put that much water onto hold it together.
Really? Yeah.
I mean, it barely lasts.
It's all sandy.
You couldn't leave it.
You think it's sandy, Phil?
Oh,
Gravelly? Yeah.
Under here,
Yeah.
massively, yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, did you have 4 inches put down, 100 mil?
6.
6 inches, yeah. Well, that's even better, you know, because you've got substance to work from.
Yep.
But getting the roots strong, that's the key. That's going to hold everything together. Get stronger and stronger.
Steve,
you know.
could it be a shortage of P&K as well or not?
These guys are the experts. It could be. I mean, have you seen that?
I've just seen one,
Yeah. You know, don't look right really, does it?
No.
You know, you made a good point there. It's actually fertilising a bit.
There's no organic material in there whatsoever,
Yeah.
so you know all of a sudden I'd be wondering whether there's a bit of a shortage of maybe P&K,
Yeah.
which is basically what roots thrive on.
Yeah. How many times you fertilise a year?
Over the winter I put iron on it.
Yeah.
And then at the start I had stuff Jason
garlic.
So that was to knock back the worms as well. But throughout the year I'll put liquid seaweed on it.
Yeah. I mean, my belief is talk to these people, and I know it comes back to finance sometimes, but get your groundsman, get your treasurer, get your chairman to talk to these people, you know, see what you're buying, see what you're putting on, and then just, you know, these guys they can advise you more than I can on substances going in.
Sorry, these guys as in Talbot Turf?
Talbot Turf, sorry, yeah.
Sorry, Sutton on the Hill. Sorry.
You know, and I think all the time I've been a groundsman, I think if you talk to each other more, communicate, like sessions like today, get these guys involved a bit more. At the end of the day, if we're honest, it might cost you a few quid more, but
The soil sample isn't expensive, but it does tell you exactly what you need to know.
what do they charge now? It used to be.
Probably about 30 quid, and you would get as much information as you want with regards to what.
That's just taking a core, putting it in a bag, and sending it off.
Dead easy.
Yeah.
Which we can do that. You know, if anybody wanted those
Right,
results,
good, yeah.
then all they'd have to do is let us have a sample. We can send it off, and then you, like I say, you've got what information you need. You know, you only need to put a bag of the wrong stuff on, and it's a waste of money, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's
we've already had a question about that, about mixing loams, you know, and I'm sure if that, I mean, something's come out straight away tonight, that will be very helpful. If it's only going to cost that, you know, it's well worth doing that.
Yeah, it is.
Well worth it. You know, analysis. I mean, I can do a multi-test, and I can see if there's a bit of clay in there. But I can't tell you exactly. You know, I used to work with a guy called Walter Goodyear, and they didn't do tests in them days, and he did the Motti test. But if it's only that, I think that would be a real advantage to clubs to see what they're playing on. You know, I know I've been around a lot of clubs, done some Motti tests, but there's nothing better than finding out exactly what you need.
It's a bag of product at the end of the day, that's all
Yeah,
it is.
well that's what we see it as, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, and I know these guys around here, it's all budget, it's all, can we save this, can we save that? And,
But it's how you save it, Steve, isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah, and that's a great point.
Can I just ask as well, when you say P and K, I'm sorry, I'm completely new.
Phosphate and potash.
Sorry?
Phosphate and potash.
So in one of your bags of fertiliser, you'll have nitrogen, phosphate and potash.
Yeah.
Nitrogen will encourage growth above the ground, P and K will encourage growth below the ground. And it's just about keeping the plants as healthy as you can to make sure that you get as much growth below the ground as you do above the ground.
Low do you go?
Scarifying, when I was at first class, if you'd got a pitch out like this, for example, you know, that might have had probably 2 times to scarify, 2 to 3 times I scarify that.
And how deep do you go?
But have you seen some of these pictures on the telly?
Yeah.
Have you seen them?
Just
Where it
real
looks
grooves,
like
yeah.
something's rode down it.
Yeah.
Not that deep. You know, I've worked with a lot of people, and all you're doing really is trying to get rid of the dead grasses. Don't kill it. Don't take too much out. You know, you're trying to play on an even surface. So if you're going to scarify it evenly. You know what I mean? But not. With me at Corndon, I only use 7 pitches, so I get a pitch out for 10 days. It takes me 10 days because I have to make that pitch last 4 games because I've not got the area to play. You know, Arnie's got a big square. Belper Meadows, they've got 18 pitches. And you're all different, you know. Like here, this is completely different to Corndon. This is completely different to A and B. A and B's, you know what I'm saying? You're all different. So sometimes the groundsman himself knows more about the square than anybody. But good point, you know. Let's see if we can educate us a little bit more. And you never know, it'll get you better pitches and it might save you money. It might save you money, even though you may be spending a bit, that might be wise to spend that sort of money.
But you are scarifying, not rotivating, aren't you?
You're scarifying, yeah. You're not rotivating, no. You know, I have seen some people and they don't scarify at all.
Yeah.
Somebody, I mean, I've seen people say, well, that don't need scarifying. Well, you run a scarifier up it, and then you'll see it does. You know, but not too heavy. I've got one of these push auto rakes. I have. That's what I use, and I'll probably do it 2 or 3 times for 1 pitch, and then I'll say, yeah, that looks fairly even. You know, the grass looks good. I'll start working on that.
How many passes would you do with your...
Scarifier.
Yeah.
If,
Would you just do the one direction, or would you always return?
no, I
on the
will
same?
go up and down,
Yeah.
because if you're not, there was another picture of on telly the other day about. Did you see the pitch where there was lines across it?
Yeah, yeah.
Did you see that? Well, you know what that was.
The way that they mowed.
Not necessarily. Yes, it was the way they mowed, but it fertilised it about a week before, or 2 weeks before. And you still saw the lines.
Yeah.
You never do that really.
No.
But they were still down there.
It was very bad.
Well, it looked bad. I mean,
Played well.
yeah, and that's a point you must always remember. It's not about always what it looks like, you know.
So what's the benefits of verticutting over scarifying?
Well,
Is it depth, is
verticutting,
it again?
it's similar really. I've got verticutter at Corndon, and I actually use the verticutter, but I don't go in. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just to chew them nasty bits that's left in the grass. Don't get wound up on scarifying too deep in the season. I will tell you different at the end of the season. I will tell you to get in deeper at the end of the season. End of season renovations, I cut my square down to about 2 or 3 mil, and then I'll verticut it. I'll take as much rubbish out of it as I can. Machinery wise, if you've got one of these things at the back of a tractor, they're fantastic.
So
I don't know if Sandy Acre are here, but what was the result of that drilling thing?
excellent.
Yeah?
It seems to be gone through, because before, when Matt came to put we just had it he scarified it. As he went through with the prongs in, it just lifted it up.
Oh, yeah.
And it lifted up the 40 years or 50 years of topsoil, and it lifted it up like a blanket. But that machine came, and it's been drier ever since this year. So 850 quid, but we thought it was worth it.
And the roots will be stronger.
And because it'll go deeper.
How deep did it go?
Well, it goes in 10 inches, but it screws in, and then it screws out. It does not affect it doesn't lift it at all.
And can you still see it? Was it left
No,
the
you can't
surface?
see. You couldn't see it a fortnight after.
You know that?
We do get back to the thing I've been talking to the league secretary about, the figures for the league, the marks. Aidan, we've got the marks. We were debating whether or not, when do we send Steve out? Do we say, well, they've got 3 bad marks? Do we say they'll want some assistance? Nobody's saying we're going to send somebody out because you've got 3 bad marks, because they're likely to tell Steve to go away. In a shortened version, luckily there's a lady here. But, I mean, I think that we should get the marks done. I know Aidan has to rely on technical help, from your son-in-law.
My son-in-law,
Yeah, to get but I think we should do it 3 times a year, and we should look at it and then say if the marks are below, marked by the opposition and by the umpire, let's send Steve out to say, look, there's obviously a problem, what can I do to help? Because that's what he's there for. It's not, your wicket's crap, we're going to come and tell you what to do about it. It's, do you need, most of us know when the wickets are bad. I've got him to say, come and have a look and tell me how bad it is and what's wrong. But people need that assistance, and I think if we had a formalised thing in the league, and that's up to you because I'm not on the chairman here, that maybe it would make sense if after we got 3 bad marks and then we sent Steve out. I don't know what you think. I mean, something.
I've tried to work on the theory that if you get the markings, the umpires have a combined mark, so the umpires agree a mark between themselves.
Yeah.
Now, if it's below standard, then what I tend to do, and then if the captain, the opposition have actually won the game and still mark it below, because sometimes if you get those 3 flags, 2 umpires agree it's below standard, and the captain has won the game and said it's wrong and made a comment, then that's when I get in touch, because it's an all-round. But sometimes you'll get the umpires will mark it 95 and the opposition's lost and mark it 75 or 80.
Is it opening back, you mean?
And that
a bad decision.
Yeah, because
That's only what they are. They're all Mardy opening backs. Owls fan.
Steve, this is where your problem is. The people who are actually doing the marking are probably not as well educated as anybody here.
Oh, exactly.
About it. So you're getting, the information you're getting, you don't know whether it's...
Now we've had a different range of umpires come through and come up. It's probably myself, Steve, yourself and Keith go and meet up with the umpires in a pre-season meeting and explain what you need to be looking at as an umpire. We probably haven't got as much clue about the umpiring rules as they have got about assessing a cricket square. So, we've got to pass on that information. A couple of things that's happened to me this year. Twice, Premier League game, 2 bowlers have run on the pitch. Clearly run on the pitch, and the umpires did nothing. So if I've got a cup match or something the next day, and the umpire knows what he's talking about, says they've run on the pitch. I said, well, no, but your bloody umpire never, did anything.
Sure, but I'm only looking for the marks to be of help.
Yeah.
That's what we want. We don't want it to say your wicket's poor, bugger off. Your wicket's poor, where can we assist you? And I think we ought to have, if on 3 separate games the marks are below average, send him out. And I think if we collect money off all the clubs, then the league can pay for him to go. We don't want the club to have to pay the first visit, do we?
Well,
I mean,
I think if we got a criticism like that, Steve, we'd gladly pay for somebody to come out.
but yeah, I'm sure you would. But I mean, I think we could say, well, let's send him out the first time, and until we run out of money, then
It's
yeah.
I think it's a must.
Yeah.
If you get a bad pitch, and we've had them,
Yeah.
particularly for the secondary, we've had 2 this year, which I am proud of. But if we'd have had some expert help, one of them
was a wet day, which wasn't recorded as wet. But that's again down to the umpires and their consistency or lack of it.
Yeah.
I think it's important, Steve, as well, to remember that the home players are playing on that pitch 22 weeks of the year.
Yeah.
The opposition only come once. So if your pitches are not playing well, you get it in the neck from your home players first.
Oh yeah. But what I'm saying is we're looking to offer, Steve, you know,
Sure, yeah.
rather than the groundsman have to say, I'm going to get the pitch advisor in, and the first thing the treasurer will say is how much is that going to cost, and then what we're going to have to pay, is the league saying you've had three below standard marks, we're going to send you the grounds advisor for nothing, come and look at your wicket, talk to your groundsman, see if you can help. That's far better than your pitch is crap, what's going on, which is what the normal, because whatever you tell the groundsman, we've had this on the league, your pitch is substandard, most of us give it the bottom lip and say, well, you know what the league can do then, don't you? Which is not what we want at all, is it? What we want is, how can we make it better? Well, I think you're doing the right things, it's just bad, the weather, you know, anything. But that's what I want us to agree on, that's all.
Steve, just going back to Keith's point about the umpires, the meeting on Monday, John Salisbury, who was the umpire secretary, said that he started the season with 109 umpires. Last week it was down to 73 to cover the whole of the league effectively. It's a dwindling,
COVID, holidays?
Dwindling number. You can put some of COVID, some holidays, some giving up the job because of things that are going on.
Some recovered their eyesight, they don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, exactly. yeah, but no,
it is a difficulty. It's like getting groundsman, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a big
Some
problem.
part with the hardest
How many
job
of
to
you
do.
under 50? 4. 4.
With dementia.
Yeah. No, we're not IQ, Arnie. Age, darling. So that's 4 of us. So I mean, and we know it's likely to be retired people who've got the time, but all we're trying to do is to make it easy for them. A, to know what to do, and B, to have know that there's some support. Are there any other questions you want to ask Steve? Anybody got a question, you know, what should we do, what about this, what about the other? Are we all happy knowing what we're doing? I've never been that happy.
I asked the question of him privately, I don't know if other people have got it. I've got a glut of Clover which I can't get rid of.
Clover.
We've got a guy who comes and helps us, and he puts a selective weed killer on the outfield. Is it on the square as well?
On the square. I've got a worse Clover problem on the square than anywhere than the outfield.
Sorry,
Clover.
Clover.
Anything else you want me to do?
Dan.
Yeah, probably. So Clover is a pig to kill whichever way you look at it. You will always get a better kill on Clover in September than you will at any other time during the year. Try and covering and recovering. So tie it in with the end of season renovation, that would be perfect. If you've got somebody that can come and spray it for you, that's fine. But again, if you haven't or you're struggling, give us a shout and we can certainly point you in the right direction with regards to that. Chemicals are changing all of the time. Steve will probably tell you, chemicals are being taken on and put off, on and off the list weekly as things are at the moment. So, what was a good chemical last year could have been replaced with a better one this year. We're lucky we get that information because we know what we're selling and what's available. So again, for the sake of a phone call, if you've got something, that you think you're using yourself, but you're not sure, give us a ring. Julie will tell you what you need to know with regards to that. But certainly, Clover, try and kill it in the autumn, definitely.
Yourself and Talbots, is there any recommendation for the best time
Well,
of
it's
season?
the consistency, it's the ryegrasses in it. You need a tough grass really.
You need a seed mix that's got a mixture of cultivars in it, so if you have a problem with one cultivar, then the square doesn't suffer. So like our TMG range that a lot of you guys buy, it'll have 3 cultivars in it, and all of those cultivars will be relatively high on the SGR list, so the proven cultivars. And we changed that. I remember when we first started doing this after bouncing stopped, the first year we changed the seed mix, and it was like, why have you done that? We've changed things already. We left the TMG 26 days the same for the simple reason, too many changes, and all of a sudden people think, well, what's going on? But we will change the seed mix for the benefit of you guys, not for the benefit of ourselves. The difference between some cultivars and others, the price isn't massive, but the benefit from a grass seed is massive. So, that's why it's important. If you see our mix changing, that will be why it is.
How do we get rid of rabbits?
Man with a gun.
I've got a falconer.
Lambs and
Buzzards.
Yeah, Lamper. Yeah, you have to get a man with a gun.
Man with a gun.
lamp and sheep.
Yeah.
I've got loads. I've got holes in the ground.
Have you ever perimetered the square? Did they dig under?
Yeah.
Did they try and go under?
Can't you irradiate?
I've tried it both ways. Chicken wire, jump over, under.
So, at Sutton on the Hill, we're getting quite a big outburst. I think Mickey Wen, the former groundsman I've took over from this season, halfway through, I think he calls it crabgrass, is it? This
Cluster, is it
cluster grass, that's the one, this thicker stuff here, sorry to...
Ryegrass, the meadowgrass.
Meadowgrass, yeah, so we're getting quite patchy areas of it. Now Mickey said to me, you need to scarify more, more.
Yeah.
Is that the key, or is there another...
Well, the one thing you've got to try and do is get rid of them.
Yeah,
But
how?
the way you'll get rid of them is keep scarifying it. Keep
Just
scarifying
constant
it.
scarifying, yeah.
Fertiliser, again,
Yeah.
the right type. But if you scarify a pitch 3 or 4 times like Steve does, that will certainly help break it up. It'll break it up, and then the new grasses that we buy, that should overtake it eventually. But aeration, spiking.
Well, we haven't got either of that.
Is the what?
A spiker or an aerator.
If not,
so-
well, the Groundsmans Association,
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Steve if there's any secrets to wicket end repair. I mean, I sent him a picture of mine with germination mats on and said, how long can I leave these on? What do I do, didn't I?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to repair the ends, there's a quick solution. It's water, soften the ends up, scarify with anything really. Don't, you can go, if it's an end you might not be using again for another 8 weeks or so. Water, okay, scarify, seed, soil, germination sheet, and if you get it right, we did it at Belper, this young lad, this Mark, he got grass through in about 9 days. And he took it off for the match, put it back on again. Took it off, put it back on again. You can do it. Neil at Derby, he renovates halfway through the season. About 10 pitches he does. Because he has to have a brand new pitch for a 4-day game all the time. You can do it, but you've got to water. You've got to get something that the grass can key to. You know what I mean? It's got to. You can't just put it on the end and scatter soil over it. It's got to go in a little bit and give it a chance to come through. And these grasses are pretty good to come through in Barton Loam. If you're trying to do it in Ongar or Surrey Loam, it'd be a bit more difficult. But Barton Loam's pretty good for grass coming through. I think that's why nearly everybody in Derbyshire uses it. But did you do it, by the way?
I did, but I mean, we've always used Kalo.
Right.
Is that worse?
Well, has that got more clay content?
Yeah.
It has, hasn't it? Yeah.
You can't get it from Talbot Turf at the minute, they haven't got any.
No.
Waiting for
Better get some.
Olivia's never rung me.
That's just
Is that
one
right?
question.
Okay, well I'll have words
That's just
tomorrow.
one question that
But we have got it.
Keith asked me to talk about quickly. Do you mix your loam? Can you mix Surrey loam with K loam with... I would never do it. The only way I would do it is send the soil samples off, send it away and ask for some top expert advice. But as a layman, if I use Barton Loam at the minute, I'll stick to Barton Loam because I don't want any breaks in the top, in the surface. Is that a fair comment?
Yeah, no doubt about
Yeah.
that.
Dampen it up, or do you spread it dry and then soak
No,
it
you've
through?
got to get it as dry as you can.
Dry.
If it comes out of the
So I've
bags
heard
or
of
the
like-
tunny bags, keep your soil dry. A lot of people use the wheel on, where it comes out like sugar. I actually do mine manually, like a wally. I get my wheelbarrow, I put 5 or 6 dots down all the way, probably 10 bags, 12 bags of pitch, and I shall just loot it in. That's how I've always done it. And
maybe something I was reading about, like
Cooked A and B do that, Steve.
bowling one.
no, that's probably to do your ends. If you want to repair ends, say you want to play 3 games on this pitch, and the footholes have gone, you know, size 12s, then you dampen it down. I think that's what you're thinking about. You know, if you've got an area like that, water it, scour it with a screwdriver, mix some semi-dry up, just put it above. I think we did it at Derby a couple of years ago. And then you use a stomper, and then, to be fair, if you do it right, when I was at Derby, Darren Goff, he was a big guy who made big footholes, and we had to do it every interval. And we said, if you're not happy, you can dance around it in the future. You remember when he won that dancing competition? I said, well, dance around the buggers. But first-class groundsmen, Trent Bridge tonight, they'll be doing that. They'll be making the footholes up. Every day they will. And they might do it between lunch and tea. You know, because the bowler, you can imagine a small guy like Mick Glenn coming in there,
Very light-footed.
bang, you know what I mean? They go down that far. And obviously, the other one is the Jonathan Trott, isn't it? I want to dig an hole today.
He should be taken out and kicked in the slats every bloody day.
Groundsmen nowadays, I mean,
The wicket keepers.
I'm the wicket keepers, yeah.
Why do they stand behind the stumps and mark a line? I mean,
If in the future you've got any questions whatsoever, don't be afraid to ring us, you know.
any more questions now then? Because I can see the barman wants to serve me a pint.